In honor of the 1 year anniversary of this absolute madness, I'm re-releasing this classic. Plus, I'm afraid I just didn't have time to get to a game today, but this one is absolutely worth a rewatch or a watch for the first time. It's insane. It's Magnus. Hope you enjoy. It's titled Tuesday, early edition, and Magnus Carlsen, world number 1, plays the Viih-Sou. Yes, A4 on the board, E5, and Magnus giving the rook here. What is going on? This opening, popularised by a mystery chess player, goes by this account name, and he smashed up Daniel Naroditsky with it on the 2nd of May. World number 1 turns up, plays it every game in the titled Tuesday just gone, and what a game we had. Obviously the rook was captured. That's worth 5, bishop 3, I'll have it, thank you very much, says Magnus's opponent. His name, Kasper Poren, a 2-time Polish champion, very strong blitz player. These are no slouches of players. The knight's now on the edge of the board. Horrendous placement. This is online speed chess. Love this game, love this system. It's absolute garbage, but so much fun to watch. Watch where the bishop now heads and keep your eye on the other one. The pawn under fire, defended. Knight c4, Magnus galloping forward, intensifying the pressure, defended. Now we see d3, that bishop on f1 crying right now with this pawn structure, but aha, Magnus has plans. Black takes the center. Look at this knight backpedaling. What a horrible circuit it's been on. Mum and dad absolutely ashamed. Get back out there, you loser of a pony. d4 takes the space. g3, finally that bishop preparing to fianchetto. Bishop e6, bishop g2, but black shuts it down. The level of play in this game is truly special. Not the opening, but the play thereafter. Knight gf3, Magnus doesn't want to swap off his bishop pair, but this is a great move by black. Not playing passively, e4, taking the fight to Magnus, and there's no time to capture this pawn here, or black takes on d3 and you open up all sorts of nasty stuff down the diagonal. If takes, queen's recapturing, still on the diagonal. You just have to get the king to safety first before taking too much action. Magnus does take on e4, or all of his pieces are getting dislodged. Knight recaptures, knight takes. Exchanges favour the side without the space. However, they also favour the side who's up material. This is the conundrum for Magnus. Castle's now played. He's pure handicapped himself. Queen d5 centralises. More pressure on this bishop on g2. Still no time to win this monster central pawn. So queen d2 from Magnus. Rook ad8. Great chess. Centralise the cannons. Magnus does the same. And h6. Tidy move. h3. Magnus singing away. Anything you can do, I can do better. His best Broadway impression. Queen c5, pressures c2. Magnus has to meekly cover this horrible backwards pawn, and rook d6. More great chess, especially in blitz. Just slowly improve the pieces. Queen f4, activate to accumulate. Rook e7 covers this f7 point. Good prophylactic chess. That meaning to guard against, before something happens. h4 now on the board. a5, both players pushing the rook's pawns. World keeps spinning, and queen d2. Magnus right now a man without a plan. Will he soon get served a chess ban? Because this opening led to Brandon Jacobson, the mystery Viih-Sou man, getting a chess ban from chess.com. So much more to that story. Check out my video at the end, or get on to Ask Jeeves. I'll link the Reddit post at the end as well, or in the description below. So rook d8 now played. We see bishop f1, queen d5, threatening to win a pawn. So the knight backpedals to h2. What a miserable square. The king ashamed of these terrible horses for white. And after knight b4, we see the stark difference. Is that one stuck at home with the king? Hell no, it's in the attack, pressuring the pawn, and Magnus feels obliged to now push that forward, try and liberate his pieces. Knight a2, a good move, but capture's played. Still not bad, doesn't ruin advantage, but it allows Magnus to set up the queen bishop battery. Obviously black sees the checkmating threat down here. f6 therefore played, necessary move, and aha, knight g4. It re-enters the game, foraying forward into the attack. Rook d6 covers the f6 pawn, but is Magnus going to give up that easily? No, he goes queen e3. No time to move this bishop, open a discovered line because the rook's undefended. So queen e6 adds protection and hits the knight. Does Magnus retreat? No. This is where he plays the stunningly terrible move of takes on h6. He's giving a knight for a pawn. Has he just forgotten what material's worth this game? Well, no. He understands he's just got to randomize the position right now. He's one of the few players in the world that can bring the heat in all three time controls. Blitz, rapid, classical, right? So what's he going for here? Well, a big attack. The problem is he's getting kicked straight out. He's attacking with basically one piece. He doesn't have the firepower. Knight d5 hits the queen once more. It's back on d2, that horrible, miserable, passive square. And even though it hits the a5 pawn, knight e7, opening the rook's attack, highlights the white problem. You cannot take this pawn, or black thunders through to the king. Can you guess the best attacking move here? Feel free to pause if you want to do so. There's the swashbuckling rook takes on h4. You take a tin opener to the white king. The emperor's got no clothes. Here's a sample checkmate. You know, all roads lead to Rome. Doesn't matter what you do. So don't touch the pawn here. Magnus goes queen c3. Now upon rook takes, queen g4 stuff, you can slide into the defense. So knight f5, great move, bringing more firepower. Bishop h3, pins the pony, queen under fire, so it comes into d5. Still black surely has everything under control. Look at this black widow spider, but Magnus finds his last little hope, a randomizer here. He pushes pawn to f3, and unbelievably, but arguably actually believably, black blunders. Now what should you play? There's a number of good ideas. You know, rook c6 is one starting idea, but the one I like the best is simply knight takes on g3. Because after pawn captures here, executing on the threat, right? Well, then you can take with check, and it's a massive check. You pick up the queen. Yes, white takes the black queen, but when the smoke clears, black is what? Still an exchange ahead and a pawn ahead. You know, should be a one endgame. That was the way to go. Take the pawn. But knight d4 played, not appreciating the weakness of the last move. And yes, it threatens the same thing, but now Magnus can take the knight. Queen recaptures, bishop takes, rook takes, and f takes on e4. Suddenly, Magnus isn't exchanged down, but he's got pawns for it. He's got active pieces. He's got an initiative here. Black deciding not to take the doubled pawn, but go after g3. There's a very nice line here with bishop f5. Sure, you can take, king goes, but the red carpet now rolled out for the h-pawn. Very pleasant endgame for white. But Magnus misses it. Low on time. No criticism. Rook takes on e4. Now bishop g2. Rook b4 back and rook c5. Classic, sneaky, grandmasterly blitz chess. If black takes this pawn, bang, you're getting absolutely kebabbed on this diagonal. There goes your rook. So this is why this one wasn't touched. And if b6 looks natural, well, the problem is you're giving this white bishop complete free reign on all the light squares. So c6 played instead. Now Magnus takes on a5. That c6 move allows rook takes on b3 because d5 under control. We get check. King f7 played, bishop f3, micro improvement of the pieces, king e6, pawn a5, rook a3, get behind the passed pawns if you possibly can, h5 from Magnus, and now f5, sorry, a prudent move to clamp on g4. But rook h7 played, allowing g4, king d6 on the board, bishop e4, don't blunder your rook, it's seen, saved, e3, preparing to march in the king, no more issues with this lateral cut. We get b5 now played, and it's a mistake. It's a lash out, not the way to go. You just should hold steady. Shuffle the rook about, king c7, black's doing fine, but b5, and it causes a problem. Now, of course, the trick here is you don't want to take en passant. Sure, it looks really cool. You get to impress your friends like this. But the problem here is that you lose your rook on a8. Yeah, you push the pawn, you come in front, it's game over. So of course Magnus does not take en passant. He instead finds the weakness of the last move. He's so good at adjusting to the position, and he goes rook c8. And this is especially impressive because now rook c3 is no good, or there's a6. If Magnus, just coming back here, had gone rook a6 to attack the pawn like this, now there is rook c3, and the a pawn can't push. It's this micro precision that sets apart the world's elite. He takes with check. The king now on the run. This one marches in to hold the bishop. Rook a1 played, threatens a huge check, then black could be taking here. So Magnus checks first, drives the king backwards, he wins another pawn, he's now doing well in this endgame, but there's miles to go before he sleeps. Can he do the business here, get this endgame done? Bishop f5, covers the pawn on g4. Now rook h8, we get checks, and slowly Magnus just starts going to work on this black king. He's probing, he's trying to find a way through. White technically better, 2 pawns to the good. That's enough for an exchange now. He's doing well, covers the king, uses the rook as a shield. This is a long game, we're going to see a few more moves here. Magnus still checking the king, but eventually he's got to get that e-pawn rumbling. Few more shuffly moves, there it goes. Now he drives the black rook away, and we see the pawn advance to e5. The computer not a fan. However, in practical human chess, after e takes on f6, this is hugely difficult because there's only one drawing move here, so hard to spot. Test your endgame skills. Can you find the move here? Impress Dr. Carsten Muller. Endgame goat right, at least on books. The move you should play is rook takes on h5. Here's the point. Pawn captures. This rook then takes the bishop, and these pieces are in a hickledy-pickledy position. Rook attacked, comes over here to stay with the pawn, and now don't take this pawn. You get skewered. That's miserable. But instead of taking, play king e5. And you just can't hold on to the pawn. You can push this one, but this one drops. What to do? If you exchange, the king's in time. It's in the box. If you don't exchange, you can check, fine, whatever. Do your worst. King's coming round. Hang on, I just lost the game. What did I do? Okay, well, king f5 apparently is a draw. This one's apparently a loss. Why? h7. Oh, okay, black takes, and you make a queen. Okay, I don't know. Ninja stuff. Anyway, we're going to come back here. That didn't happen. This move was played instead. Giving up here looks like it's enough to hold a draw because now the rook's coming behind, but there is a trick, and it's a classic. You have to know this one in endgames. You slide away with the rook, and here's the point. Black takes here, but check. You give the old skewer trick, but the problem is when the king moves, you capture the rook, this, then the pawn is running. Black's not in time, it's game over, right? And coming back here, if you don't take the pawn, if you try this, then f7, and the problem is this black king is cut, and the white king is in time to get to the second pawn, even though one of the pawns drops. You reach this kind of classic Lucena position, but even easier to play because this black is a shield for the white king, black king I should say. Game over. So this was the final position here. Magnus takes it home. He played it every game. There's some corkers. I'll have to bring some more videos. Reddit post below if you want more info on this craziness kicking off right now. Hope you enjoyed, and check out the video on screen for another game in this line between Viih-Sou himself and Daniel Naroditsky. Cheers.